I never thought I'd be saying this, but Dead Island 2 is actually going to release. We are now only a couple of weeks away from the release of the next Dead Island game, and that is insane. I was 16 when the trailer for Dead Island 2 came out. I've been a fan of Dead Island since the Dead Island 1 trailer. Anyone who's around and was old enough to be watching trailers and paying attention to gaming news back when Dead Island 1 came out knows how big of a deal the trailer for the first game was, and then how in shock the gaming world was when Dead Island came out and was, or at least the tone of Dead Island was incredibly different than the trailer for Dead Island. And then in 2014, we got the trailer for Dead Island 2, and now, nearly 10 years later, we are finally about to get Dead Island 2. If you'd have told me a year ago that Dead Island 2 was going to come out in 2023, I'd have called you a liar. I'd have been willing to bet nearly anything that we were never going to get Dead Island 2, especially because Dying Light and Dying Light 2 exist. I, like a lot of people, were under the impression that because Dying Light became a thing and is as successful as it is, that Dead Island was just a series that was never coming back. But as I said, we are now only a few weeks away from the release of Dead Island 2, and that is just insane. When Dead Island 2 comes out, I will be a few days away from turning 25. Honestly, I'm really looking forward to this. I love zombie games. I've played so many zombie games this year alone. Dead Rising, Last of Us, Walking Dead, Dead Island, Dying Light, Resident Evil. I've played over 60 games this year, and I would say the majority of them probably had a zombie or an infected in them in some way or shape or form. But these days, it's very common for a game to have the zombies or the infected be the secondary element to what makes the game special. Nobody buys Last of Us because of the zombies. I would say nobody buys Dying Light because of the zombies. Dying Light's unique selling point is the parkour. Nobody buys the Telltale Walking Dead games because of zombies. Again, it's the story. And now I'm pretty sure that in Dead Island 2, that the focus is on the zombies and the fun that the player is going to have fighting them. It's going to remind me of the early days of like zombie games like Dead Rising. Dead Rising is another good example, or at least the first three of them are, of games that are designed for you to have fun just fighting some zombies. It's kind of rare these days. 10 years ago, or even maybe a little bit more than 10 years ago, we lived in a world where zombie media was incredibly prevalent. Everything had zombies, especially when like The Walking Dead hit it big. Films, TV shows, games, zombies were absolutely everywhere, until the point where games reviewers and games journalists were complaining about it, saying they got tired of it. And honestly, I never did. There are two enemies in games that you will always be able to mercilessly destroy with no remorse. And those are zombies and Nazis. Comment down below and let me know, when Dead Island 2 comes out, should I do a full playthrough of it here on YouTube the same way that I did for Resident Evil 4? Because I'm thinking I'm probably gonna. The game is co-op, but I won't be playing it in co-op because that's just not how I play games. I do everything on my own pretty much. That way I can enjoy it at my own pace. And as you guys know, my own pace is typically not the pace of a normal person. So there is also that. I actually haven't seen very much gameplay from Dead Island 2 because typically when something is going to come out and I know no matter what I'm going to buy it, I try not to watch too much about it. So for example, I managed to avoid everything about the Resident Evil 4 remake because I knew I was definitely buying it. I avoided the demo, I hadn't seen what the characters looked like in the new graphics, I hadn't seen a single trailer, I avoided everything. And another example of a game that I'm going to do that for is the Silent Hill 2 remake. It doesn't matter whether the Silent Hill 2 remake is reviewed badly, I'm still going to buy it. It doesn't matter whether Dead Island 2 remake or Dead Island 2 is reviewed badly, I'm still going to buy it. So I've avoided everything. And the same goes for films, although it's a little bit harder for films because you guys that know me from TikTok know that I go to the cinema quite often, and when you go to the cinema you have to watch trailers, and you go a lot, you watch a lot of trailers. But given the choice, I would avoid watching trailers for films that I know that I'm going to see so that I don't become spoiled. And my definition of a spoiler is a hell of a lot looser than a lot of people's, because there are certain things that you could see in a gameplay trailer or a story trailer or a trailer for anything and decipher something else that's going to happen based upon what you've seen, and that is a problem. So I know very little about the story or the characters or even what the gameplay is going to look like in Dead Island 2. What I hope is that there are a lot of different weapons. I would imagine that weapon durability is back. I imagine there are several different playable classes, just like the first one. I'm pretty sure that co-op is in the game. I'm pretty sure I've seen that confirmed. I'm not even sure on the setting. I know that originally it was supposed to be Los Angeles, but again, it's been 9 years since that trailer. I would hazard a guess that any of the developers that were involved in the making of that trailer are probably not involved in the making of the game, because I'm pretty sure that what happened is a lot of the original developers that started Dead Island 2 left to go work at Techland to make Dying Light. I'm pretty sure I've not made that up and that I'm not lying, but could go either way. Dead Island 2 is also the last of the games that is coming out for a while that I think I'm going to be getting pretty soon. The only other two games that I can think of that are coming out soon that I'd be interested in are Star Wars Jedi Survivor and the new Legend of Zelda game. However, I wasn't a huge fan of the first Star Wars game, so I'll probably wait for it to be a bit cheaper or come to Game Pass or something like that. And with the Legend of Zelda, a bit of a gaming sin to admit this, but I've not really played Breath of the Wild yet. I played it for like an hour, but from what I gather about that game, it's one of them where you need to sink a lot of hours into it to get anywhere. So I've just not gotten anywhere in it, so I would say I've barely played it. I have a Switch, I have the game, I just haven't. Another gaming sin, I haven't really played the majority of like big Nintendo style games because they were never really my thing. Like Zelda, haven't really played it. Metroid, haven't played it. As a child, I was a PlayStation kid. I had a PlayStation 2 and that was it for the majority of my childhood. Then when I was a teenager, it started with the PS3, then I got the 360 when I had them both, and then from PS4 and Xbox One onwards I've had both each generation. But even when the Switch came out, I still have never been a Zelda fan. So Dead Island 2 is almost definitely going to be the last new release that I play for a while, which means, and let me tell you this, I'm going to give you guys some future insight into my plans when it comes to playing games. A lot of people have been asking me now to play the Assassin's Creed games for quite a while, and here's when it's going to happen. I'm going to play through the Assassin's Creed franchise, all of them, once I have finished Dead Island 2, because as far as I am aware, there is nothing releasing that I'm bothered about for a few months following Dead Island 2, which is going to free up quite a while for me to put as much time into the Assassin's Creed franchise as I would like to. So consider that a bit of a, not behind the scenes, but a bit of insight for you guys that have been bothered to watch this far into the video. Thank you, you are the best. I'm looking forward to playing the Assassin's Creed games. Back when I played Dead Island and Dead Island Riptide earlier this year, people were saying that I should have waited and that I should have played them closer to the release of Dead Island 2 so that I could go Dead Island Riptide, straight into Dead Island 2. But honestly, that's not my preferred way of doing things. For example, when a brand new game in a franchise comes out, even though I tend to play entire franchises at a time, I prefer there to be a gap in between playing the rest of them and the new ones, so that I'm fresher going into the new one and more excited for it. For example, did the same thing with Resident Evil 4 Remake. I played all of the other games about a month in advance and then had a month of playing other things while I waited for Resident Evil 4 Remake. Similar thing with Dead Island 2, and for example, when Assassin's Creed Mirage comes out, even though that might not be coming this year, when that does come out, I'll do the same thing there. I won't play the new one around the old ones because I want to have the maximum amount of hype I possibly can. I should also probably make a video about the Assassin's Creed Mirage thing. I think it's been delayed. Something else I'm going to touch upon this late into the video because only the true fans are still here. My upload schedule. My plan is to make 3 of these sorts of videos per day. 3 talking to the camera, whether it be news or whatever the topic is. 3 talking to the camera videos per day, which is a lot, but I think it's going to help with my growth. And then obviously I'll also post the shorts of me playing the games, but those won't show up in the majority of people's suggested because that's not how shorts work. But yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you watched all the way through, please drop a like, please leave a comment saying Assassin's Creed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Be sure to go and watch another video while you're at it.